So the meeting of the first ministers happened, and amongst various topics was the topic of separation. Yeah, they talked about the blob. They talked about United Canada, standing together. But in the way of that is separation. Yeah, I could talk about Quebec, but we expect it from Quebec. And anytime it's happened, it hasn't happened. And the difference between Quebec and Alberta, Quebec doesn't have people who are taking it upon themselves to talk to a different country about financing separation. That's an Alberta thing. Premier Eby wasn't shy about calling it treason. Even DoFo wanted Danny to denounce the separatists. It's a tough situation to be in, isn't it, Danny? Because if we go by what comes out of your mouth, you don't align with separation. But to denounce them, well, that's just going to piss off a part of your base, isn't it? You want to do that. Because the reality is, you're the one that made it easier for people to try and turn their fantasies into a reality. That's all on you. This is what Danny had to say. I'll apologize in advance.
I've always been clear that me and our United Conservative Caucus are supportive of a strong and sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. That is one of the bills that we passed when I first came in. But I think we also have to be realistic that 10 years under Justin Trudeau's government, our province was relentlessly attacked. Our economy was relentlessly attacked, not only for our economy, but our provincial rights and also our personal freedoms and our way of life. And so when you look at the polls, they suggest as many as 30% of Albertans have lost hope. That's about 1 million people. And I'm not going to demonize or marginalize a million of my fellow citizens when they've got legitimate grievances.
They just can't get Trudeau's name out of their mouth. Let's be real. This small faction of separatists, seditionists, didn't just come about because of Trudeau. We heard Wexit long before Trudeau. Trudeau was just the figurehead for them to be able to proceed with their wackadoodness. And then you have brazen people who admittedly have no authority, but have somehow made connections with a threat to Canada to work out some kind of deal. That's new. But this is why we say this separation idea is being funded by somebody to try and push the agenda along. Because there was an article in the Globe and Mail where Black Hat Guy, who loves to talk, said, becoming part of the United States, well, that's a no-go. We're just having conversations with the higher-ups for a $500 billion loan to help us become our own country. Are you daft, man? I would say, do you think people are going to believe that? But clearly people are believing that. I'm sure the current administration would be more than happy to turn themselves into a bank, provide you with a loan, and I'm sure we wouldn't be beholden to them at all. But the thing that I noticed, because of course all these long lines of people going to sign the petition have been covered by various news outlets. Fair enough, I guess it's news. But when they've interviewed the people in line to sign the petition, the one takeaway that I have, because they interviewed a few of them, is that none of them know what the fuck they're signing. I've seen people say, we're just signing this as a threat to Ottawa. We're not going to separate, but we want Ottawa to know that we're serious. Then I've seen people say, yeah, we're going to separate. We're going to become our own country. We'll do business with Canada and the U.S. Newsflash. Canada's going to tell us to go fuck ourselves. And the U.S. has ulterior motives. Then the last group are the ones that say, we'd be better off being a part of the U.S. All of these donkeys are getting in line to sign this petition. All of these donkeys are listening to Black Hat Guy, who seems to change his narrative to suit his cause. Is he signing a petition to threaten Ottawa? What if it actually happens? It can't happen. But that's not how you deal with Ottawa. For anybody that thinks that the U.S. wouldn't invade us if we became our own country, despite having Cletus and Billy Bob with their unregistered firearms at the border trying to protect us, you're Delulu! And for those that want to be a 51st state, go fuck yourself. But see, this is the concern. The mixed messaging. It's what happened with Brexit. And that didn't turn out well for them. At all. The EU said, okay, bye. Didn't faze them one bit. And all the promises that were made of how good it was going to be didn't come to fruition. Buyer's remorse. Or seller's remorse, I guess. And that is the difference between the people who signed the Forever Canadian petition, easy yes, and the donkeys, and then what? We're not going to have our own currency. We're not going to have a Canadian passport. Canada's not going to do business with us. The U.S. is going to try and take us over. And if you don't know what's happening in the U.S., or more importantly, if you do know what's happening in the U.S. and you still think it's a good idea for us to become a 51st state, How about you go down there, live there for a year, come back and let us know how it is.
That the U.S. administration would respect Canadian sovereignty and that they would confine their discussion about Alberta's democratic process to Albertans and to Canadians. And I will raise that with my delegate in Washington so he can raise it with members of the administration. And I will raise it with my delegate in Ottawa so he can raise it with the U.S. ambassador.
See, Danny, you're still thinking that these are reasonable people. They used you for what they needed you for, to get this shit going. They don't give a fuck what you have to say anymore. You can raise it with whoever you want to raise it to. You gave them what they needed on a silver platter. Now you're speaking on behalf of the entire UCP caucus. There are separatists in your caucus. And you have never called out Black Hat Guy and his minions. I don't have to like you, Danny. I don't have to like any of the decisions you make. But I could respect the fact that you didn't give a fuck and were going to do what you wanted to do. You cowering to Black Hat Guy? I still don't like you. But now I don't fucking respect you. Thanks to the person who sent me this mug. This mug holds more water than Danny's bullshit answer.